It's time for the Chips and Salsa Show.
The only show about Latinos for Latinos. And did we mention Latinos?
It's the Latísima.
Latinos come in all flavors, shapes, and sizes. You don't have to be Latino to enjoy chips and salsa.
People love chips and salsa.
Welcome to the Chips and Salsa Show, New Mexico, live from Las Cruces, New Mexico. And I am your host, Alice Lara. We're here every week, record the show, then get it uploaded, usually by Tuesday morning. So we're so happy you joined us today. We have a wonderful guest we're going to get to in just a few moments, and that's going to be Ronnie Sisneros. And he is running for New Mexico State House District number 37, my district. We're going to get to know all about him and talk New Mexico politics, as well as some national and local stuff, too. I just want to remind all of you, I know normally you're used to seeing another person sitting next to me, and that is the Zekinator, Zeke Rodriguez. So we officially are Zekeless today. He had a wonderful opportunity to take advantage of. So from time to time, we're hoping he's going to pop in and give us an update of what he's doing. He's kind of a mystery right now, mystery limbo, and that's okay. Believe me, it's a really good opportunity for him. So please hang in there, tell your friends, and upload this. We're going to, like I say, have it uploaded by tomorrow. So if you haven't yet, go to our Rumble channel and our YouTube channel, become a subscriber or a follower, and we would love to have you as a chipster. Officially, a chipster is someone who follows the Chips and Salsa Show. And we also have a Chips and Salsa Show Arizona, which they should be up and running soon. I want to go ahead and take care of a little business so we can devote the entire hour to our candidate. And we record this show and do this here, kind of downtown Las Cruces, maybe not really, but if you're familiar with it, this is the Oregon Mountain Productions Studio, and we have a wonderful, just awesome couple that we've gotten to know here in the last few months. I have anyway, and I just think so dearly of them, and that's Joey and Haley Garza. They put this all together. They do a fantastic job, and they take care of the camera work. Wardrobe consultant is Haley. Yeah, everything. But what they also do is something that maybe you've seen this before. We've talked about it before, and it's called Flavors of the Desert. And this is a really, really cool magazine. If you're a foodie, man, this is your thing. New Mexico food. I understand they're going to start doing more of the food trucks as well, too. This is the brand new issue. So this is issue number 2, I see. Da, 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 da. Very nicely done. And just, it's really beautifully done. You can find out more about food here in your community. And I'm a big foodie, so please, Flavors of the Desert, pick it up. It's all around town, right? You can pick it up free, different places.
Yeah, everywhere. The corporate center, visit Las Cruces, all the taco spots that are in there.
Cool.
We're hitting the farmers market on the weekends.
Farmers market on the weekend.
Passing them out, yeah. So
big deal. And you're getting a lot of really good response.
Oh yeah.
So we're very happy.
And they're free.
And they're free. I mean, what more do you want, right? Got to pick one up. So that's awesome on that. Okay, so we're going to get started with our show here. And we just want to remember real quick if there's anything else. But thank you for staying tuned. And just a reminder, if you don't have time right now to listen to the whole thing, go back and please spread the word for us. So let's start off with my good friend, Ronnie Sisneros. Welcome to the Chips and Salsa Show, New Mexico.
Thank you.
We're so happy to have you here.
Been looking forward to it.
Awesome, great. So I just want to start out by saying, I've only been back in Las Cruces, New Mexico. It'll be 2 years in May. And one of the first organizations politically that I joined was the Coalition of Conservatives in Action. And the first meeting I went to, I noticed, I think that you headed up the Republican Latinos or something like that, right?
Hispanic Outreach.
Yes, I did. Okay, great. So that kind of caught my eye. The other thing that caught my eye is because your last name is Sisneros. Mm-hmm. Well, my mom's maiden name was Ceniceros, which is kind of close to that. I don't know if those were changed. Yeah. Maybe to hide from Spanish or something. I don't know. But if you're okay with this, what I'd like to do is just read a few paragraphs. And this is a wonderful bio that you wrote about yourself. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get to know you more.
Sure.
And all the information, because I think he's a very good, strong candidate in hopes of turning New Mexico more red because it's just too blue right now.
Absolutely.
I love the color turquoise, but I'm ready for some red in my New
Yes,
Mexico besides
yes.
a red chili, right? Okay.
Praise the Lord.
All right, so you are the Republican candidate for New Mexico State Representative District number 37.
Correct.
Ta-da! And you've been married to, is it Velia?
Velia with a V. Yes.
Okay. Cisneros for 20 years.
Yes, yes.
Salute.
Just short of 20 years.
Fantastic. And you have a family, you have grandkids too, so you're grandpa.
Yes, I love my grandchildren. very
Nice. How many grandkids do you have?
much. 14.
You have 14 grandkids?
Yes, 14.
Woo, that's awesome. Great. Let's get them all conservative, okay? Forget it.
Absolutely. They mostly are. Well, they are. My little grandchildren are for sure because
awesome.
they've gone with me on the
Campaign
we had a
trail?
float. We had a float for the Hispanic outreach, and 3 of my grandchildren went with me on the float. And I just loved it. I was so proud of them.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. And he says your dad and family came originally from Manzano, New Mexico, and your mom's from Southern Colorado.
Correct.
Awesome. You have 5 brothers, 2 sisters, and your dad's not with us anymore, but your mom is still in good
Yes,
health in
yes.
from Roswell. That's where you're from, Roswell. Huh?
Yes, originally, yes.
Wow, that's fantastic. I know you have a very good work ethic. So you've worked with the developmentally disabled and an occupational therapy assistant for over 20 years. You have a fondness and empathy for those suffering from mental illness, depression, bipolar, and schizophrenia. You've seen a lot of suffering.
Yes. Yes.
Heartbreaking. So we're going to get into why you're running for the legislature and everything. And there's so many things that we can talk about there. And let me just go through whatever I want to hit about it. You're saying, simply put, I'm a fighter, not afraid to stand up to these radicals and fight them all the way to protect our rights and the future of our children and grandchildren, as you say. So a lot of the rest of stuff, we can get to this. But what I love, Ronnie, is that you are a Latino Republican.
Yes.
You're running, and you have great experience. I'm not going to say that we're close personal friends because I haven't known you that long, but I've spent enough time with Ronnie and seen you speak and answer questions that I believe you are a very strong and qualified candidate.
Thank
and
you.
First I want to thank you for
you.
taking the plunge
Thank
and
you.
saying, I'm going to run and I'm going to do this.
Yes.
So, of course, the first question I always like to ask is, why the heck do you want to run for this thing?
Well, to me, it's easy because I did run. This is not my only time that I've run for public office. I did run for city council here in the last cycle. And the motivation is always the same. It's for the sake of my grandchildren. For the sake of my grandchildren, why I run for office. It's because I want my grandchildren to have the freedoms that I had as a child. And so I want them to be able to do and experiment and experience all of the things they need to do in their life through growth and achievement, rather than being vilified for how they think about certain things, and vilified, or as they say, shamed. That's the
Canceled.
Canceled. There you go. Canceled. It's a big word. And my grandchildren are very strong. They're like their grandmother, which is my wife. They're very strong-minded, all of them, as their mothers and fathers are as well, thank God.
You mean you want them to live in a free America and have opportunity?
Absolutely.
Wow. What a concept, huh?
Absolutely, I do. I want them to be able to be free without having to have municipal or statewide restraints upon them, that limit their ability to achieve, well, in all essence, the American dream. The American dream for not only themselves, but for their future families. And what I am fighting for is my grandchildren, but not only my grandchildren's children, but their children as well. And I hope that the people here in District 37, here in Las Cruces, can send me to Santa Fe. So I can say, as I said, my slogan is ya bastante. Enough is enough. Enough with all of these rules, regulations that have nothing to do with the people here in New Mexico. It is a small, as I said, as you repeated earlier. I was born and raised here in New Mexico, and all of these elements did not even exist 10 years ago, and so they have come across here rapidly, and we need to fight against them. And so I believe within the state legislature is an opportunity to stop certain bills and be a advocate for conservative values, conservative American principles. I am pro Second Amendment. I always have been. I've been shooting a gun since I was a young little thing. You know, or we're over there shooting a gun just because we ain't got nothing better to do? Of course not. We're out there going out hunting, but we with proper instruction. Did I have hunter safety? Yes, I did have hunter safety. You know, back then it was promoted for children to have hunter safety.
Well, you're probably too, like in high school, the guys would come in their pickup trucks and they'd have a gun.
Yes, it was. Yeah, that was very common.
We respected the Second Amendment.
Yes, exactly.
I want to ask you about, because you've been in New Mexico, and I haven't been living here in the last 30 years or so. I've only been back a couple of years, and it went from a pretty conservative state to this. And what the dynamic that's so interesting to me, Zeke and I used to always talk about this as well, is we have a lot of Democrats who are conservative. They don't want to change parties, but they are conservatives. So let's put you in the legislature. How will you be working with them? You probably already do because you're a pretty active Republican.
Yes. I was voted here as the second vice chair of the Doñana Republican Party. And I'm a pretty inactive individual. I believe in the concept that if you want to do something, then you got to get up and go do it. So, you know, your question was related. What was your direct question?
So I find that there's a lot of Democrats. They're registered Democrats, but they're pretty conservatives. And there's got to be a few in the legislature as well. So, you know, you're
the strategy of how
strategy and how are you going to work with them? And convince them to vote your way.
In my view, in my opinion, I believe that the only way that you can sway people is you have to remain constant. You do. You have to remain constant because you will not be blown by the wind. Because what we have here in New Mexico right now is one door opens and the wind blows through, whether it be at times, unfortunately, sometimes it's Republicans as well. The wind blows in and it's a different direction this way. And another door opens and the wind blows and there's no consistency. There's no consistency within municipal or legislative government. And as a result of that, people look at what the Democratic Party are doing. They're all just voting straight. And so does it mean that I will say, oh, no, is Ronnie's way or the highway? Of course not. That's not realistic. Neither is an adult. Neither is an adult belief to think that just because you believe some way, you're not going to be able. You're going to have to influence others. You're going to have to tell them the reason why. You're going to have to tell them the reason why. Why is it that you want to do this? And then don't change your mind. Don't change your mind. Don't go back on it.
So stay firm and consistent.
Stay
in your
firm
values.
and consistent. If I could, I thought of an instance when I was preparing for a little meeting here. And I was thinking to myself, what is it that makes a candidate? What is it that makes a candidate? In my opinion, a good candidate, as I've talked to people, ever since I started to get involved, is I would talk to people that I know, and they said, Ronnie, you have to get a good candidate, Ronnie. You got to get a good candidate. And I would always think to myself, what does that mean? But then, so it would come down to what is a good candidate? A good candidate is one that demonstrates integrity. And what is integrity? The quality of being honest and showing a consistent and uncompromising adherence to ethical principles and values. That's what integrity shows. Now, integrity, is there going to be a cost for integrity? You're darn right there's going to be a cost. Yes, it is. And in my experience, or where I'm at right now, I'm almost close to retirement age, I have experienced those costs as a result of no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to agree with that. And so I think that I have proven throughout my life that I do have integrity, that I do have what it takes to be sent to Santa Fe to represent the people of District 37 in Las Cruces and my state to say, no, we've had enough of all of this other stuff. All of these other things where a small minority of people is dictating to the rest of the state what they deem is acceptable, what they deem is the proper words, what they deem of history is valuable. What they know, this is not valuable because we say it's not. No, it's not.
You're going to have a lot on your list to take care of. And the interesting thing to me, too, is in New Mexico, just a reminder, because a lot of people watch us from around the country or Arizona, New Mexico has a very short legislative session. This last one was, 30 days? And I think you have 1 year is 2 months, and the next one's 30 days. The governor can call a special session. But what I don't like about it also, the governor has a lot of call over the agenda. And it's a little bit too much power. Well, I want to get into more specifics. Before we dive into the specifics and more weeds of the legislature, can we talk a little bit about some national issues and some local issues?
Absolutely.
You got a lot to say. And the reason I want to do that is because what Ronnie's going to tell you about how he thinks about these issues is going to tell you a lot about his character and a test of his conservativeness and as a Republican as well. So one of the things I do want to, what we know is what happened, unfortunately, here in New Mexico recently. We had a state police officer killed. And very sad, very tragic. They did find the perpetrator, right?
Yes, I did.
Yes, I did. And that just seems to be, we're just getting a little bit too many stories like that in I say small state because in the whole population of New Mexico is only a little bit over 2 million.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Yes.
So what are your thoughts about that? And that's the state police. And I'm not sure how the funding is or anything like that. But
well, in regards to law enforcement, needless to say, all of my respect goes to the family of that fallen state police officer, and all of my respect and may God help them during this period of time, to help them in their grief, because it ain't gonna be easy, I'm sure. In regards to law enforcement as a whole, I support law enforcement 100%. I believe law enforcement is the backbone of any civilized society. You have to have law enforcement. And in my view, I just think that here in New Mexico, what has happened is law enforcement has been hamstrung. They've been hamstrung by the legislature. Here in New Mexico, they've been hamstrung. And I think they need to do their job, and then these district attorneys, these county attorneys, etc., of whether it be Las Cruces, all over the state, they need to be held accountable for all of these people that they're turning loose. All these people that they're turning loose while they're committing, whether it be violent crimes, they're thieving, stealing, robbing. I mean, what is
and the county attorney, we talked to Michael Kane.
Yes.
He explained that he represents a state. So that's basically the prosecutor.
Yes.
But too many are going free, like you say.
Absolutely. They're just turning them loose. If even they spend 1 day in jail, if even they spend 1 day in jail. I mean, since when has that been? That's never been, ever since I'm almost 60 years old. And since when has that been the case? Never. That's why I say we have to do something. We have to do something about this. If I can kind of go on a little bit of personal, I applaud, I encourage everyone to get involved. I'm nobody special. I'm nothing. I'm nothing in the scheme of things. But what I'm willing to do is I'm not willing to just stay at home and watch Facebook. I want to go find out for myself. I go to school board meetings. I go to county commissioner meetings. And I'm not in any of those things or whatever the case may be, but you have to be a voice. You've got to get involved.
I want to interject right here because the other thing too is I remember that you also started something up which you were going to do is have volunteers come into the schools
Mm-hmm.
and kind of monitor what's going on. They wouldn't
Yes.
be employees,
No.
but you started that up, and I thought, wow, that's really something I never thought about doing. I even signed up for that, I think,
Yes.
and it didn't really materialize. Did
Well,
you get
well,
some resistance?
Well,
But I'm just telling you this because this guy's a man of action.
resistance would be a kind word. Well, needless to say, all I wanted to, because of the recent shootings that were going on across the country, the recent shootings, and where do they go? They go to schools, right? And as I've already mentioned, how many grandchildren that I have, and here in Las Cruces and some in other parts of the country, in other parts of the state. But all I wanted to do is to be an exterior. I did not want to be in the school, roaming the halls, etc. I wanted to be there to prevent exterior threats. That's it. That's all I wanted to be. And you know how long it took me to get approved by the Las Cruces Public School District?
I can't even
It
imagine.
took me 14 months to get approved to go into the school district. And that's after me paying my $44 of, so they could review my background check. And of course, absolutely.
That's fine,
There
sure.
was nobody going in there.
That's fair.
Absolutely. You need rules. And after I was approved, the Vista Middle School principal she sent me an email and says, well, I don't think that you're appropriate for being out here. We don't think that we want you out here.
You weren't appropriate?
Yes, I wasn't appropriate for being out there. Well,
You take showers. I mean, what's going on here? Come on.
well, it's funny. When I went initially to start my program, not my program, to start the process, you go to the school. You go to the school administration building over there in Main Street, pick up your packet, and take another form to the school. And the school principal there, she said, oh, Lord in heaven, she says, thank you so much for what you're doing. We just need so many more people to get involved and this and that or whatever. Thank you. Okay. I was approved now. Now I had my little ID so I could come back to the school. And so I came back and she goes, okay, now what exactly do you want to do? I mean, what in what capacity? I mean, are you going to be hired? And I said, no, I want to be a volunteer. I already have a job. I want to be here to prevent exterior threats for my grandchildren and for other people's children so that I can maybe secure a door. What has happened here within the past? Nobody secured a door, and we saw when demons went into the house. Demons went into the schools, and what did they do to poor, defenseless children?
And Ronnie, there's no security system evidently in place
Well,
at this point. Do they have police
as of
officers?
right now, what they do. Is there no security system now?
I just wondered at that point where you're.
Well,
there.
see, I wanted to be a supplement.
Right.
That's all I wanted to be. Yes, they do have what do you call it? Is it SROs? I believe is what
Yeah.
they call them. Security resource officers. There we go. They call them. And are they at every school? No. But I'll be honest. I went to where my grandchildren are at.
Sure.
I went to where my grandchildren are at. But the fact of the matter is that another administrator came in, and I went to another meeting, and I went up there and I told him that I have not been able to. They won't allow me in the building. They won't allow me in the building. I don't know. Like you said, I don't know what was the problem. What was the difficulty?
So they didn't give you a specific reason?
No. They just said at this time, and I have this on an email. At this time, we don't think that you're right for Vista Middle School.
Wow.
So
They owed you an explanation. I'm sorry.
exactly.
But that's
Well, of
wrong.
course they told me, well, Ronnie, you can come up, Ronnie, and meet with the safety program. I said, because if that was the only thing I was going to get, and you can be a member of the safety program. And I said, absolutely. In other words, you're jumping through the hoops. Jump this hoop, jump that hoop, jump this hoop, to do what you got to do to provide protection for your children, your grandchildren, right? And so I said, okay, when is the next meeting? So we have no idea. We have no idea when the next meeting.
They didn't know when their next safety meeting
No,
was.
they had no idea when.
Okay,
the next
that doesn't
safety
sound good
No.
to me.
No,
All right.
no, I didn't. So, long story short, the new administrator came in. I caught him there at a meeting at Oñate High School. I call it Oñate High School, and I will forever call it Oñate High School.
And we'll get into that in another issue
Yes.
real soon.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned.
So I caught him there, and I told him the same thing I'm telling you now. And he, guess what? He said no. He goes, I don't know why they didn't. He goes, did they tell you why? I said, no, they never tell me why. And I was allowed to finally, after 14 months of belligerently calling, and let's not forget the 6 meetings that I went to in between. You know, it's bureaucracy nonsense. The 6 meetings that I had to go in between. Okay, Ronnie, what are we gonna do? Ronnie, what are you gonna do? I've already told you, all I want to be is an exterior. I'm not going to be, well, are you going to be bothering the teachers? No, I'm not going to be bothering the teachers. I'm going to be here for an hour, you know, like before I go to work, like 8 to 9, 9 to 10, and then I go to work. I have a full-time job. But how could I live with myself if, God forbid, something happened here and I wasn't doing all I could to protect my grandchildren? I wouldn't be able to live with myself. So I did everything I could, and finally, after 14 months, I was able to volunteer, because guess what? My granddaughter's at Vista. She had already left Vista.
By that time, she's not even there anymore?
She's not even there anymore.
Wow.
So I went for my other granddaughter at another elementary school.
It's going to be getting to the great-grandkids soon.
Yeah. And I was finally able to volunteer at that school. Yes. And they were quite polite. The principal was very supportive. I can't recall her name right now, but very supportive. She gave me my little security vest, and I would just check the doors, and I'd come in with my what do they give you, the walkie-talkie or whatever, and I would touch base. Ronnie, school safety volunteer, you know. And I would confirm whether all the doors on this side of the exterior building were locked, and then I would walk the exterior of the park, and I would look for situations, and I'd just bring up my chair and sit and wait. And then, of course, teachers they would go to different little things that they'd have throughout. You know, they're going on field trips. Well, they'd come up and they'd see me sitting there, and are you the one that's watching? And I said, yes. Well, thank you very much. They were very appreciative.
Good.
They're very appreciative.
So you were very well received.
Yes, very well at Sonoma Elementary.
So
yes.
Fast forward now. So what happened?
Well, where it is right now is I'll be honest. I was going 2 to 3 times a week, and as of right now, I'm not going because I'm just upset with the school district. I'm upset with the school district because of another issue of them allowing this perverse, completely inappropriate literature within the school district. And I don't want, you know, I mean, it's about as bad as you can get.
And we've talked about that on the show.
As bad as you can
Yeah,
get.
it's pretty bad.
And
we're still fighting it. The coalition is still fighting it.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And I commend all their efforts. And I went up there and spoke. And I told them, I remember the distinctive thing that I said, how far are you going to go? How low are you going to go? Where is the level? What's the standard where y'all going to drop? How far are you going to go to? You know, so you can say that we are inclusive to everybody. All of these things are completely sexually inappropriate, period.
And another example of how, you know, right, he's very actively engaged. Mm-hmm. And you know a lot of people. And we also have to discuss, again, before we get into the weeds about the actual New Mexico State Legislature. Mm-hmm. But there's another thing that happened. So first of all, we should say last week, Tuesday, was the filing day for the candidates here.
Yes.
So the House and the State Senate candidates filed their paperwork, and Ronnie was down there, and I was down there taking some video of him. In fact, if you go to the Chips and Salsa Facebook site, you can see that. We have some good video. And one of what was also going on was the county commission was meeting. So if you live in Arizona, the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors is equivalent to the Doña Ana County Commissioners here. Mm-hmm. And what was in question, our good friend Gina, who ran for mayor, she addressed them about they are going to change our logo. Now, I should have brought like the logo. I'll have to put it on there. But it's a beautiful logo
Is it?
since 1958, and it's got, I think it's a conquistador. Is it
Yes,
Cortez?
it does.
Do you know who the
No,
guy is on there?
it doesn't say who specifically. It was a young kid in high school.
that drew it?
He drew it, and he was the one that won the competition.
Wow. And it's beautiful, I think. And it's got the Oregon Mountains in the back. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
perfect Doña Ana County, New Mexico logo. I thought, man, you guys really did a good job. Well, they're going to get rid of it. They want to get rid of it for modernization purposes and other things like that. And I can, I've already told you what we did, and we may go there tomorrow and raise a ruckus as well. But the main thing, and I think you agree with me on, there's so many other things that we could take care of at the county level. And the Oñate thing was a high school. It's no longer called Oñate. They call it Oregon Mountains. Juan told me it cost about $1 million to change that logo and do all those things. And this is probably going to cost
Yes,
more.
I would say it's going to cost him.
So
extremely.
you have kind of an update about that, Ronnie, for us, don't
Well,
you?
the update is I was so disgusted because I was running for city council at that time when this whole issue developed, and almost every people that I discussed and spoke with in District 5, they were opposed to changing the name. These are the families of people that lived in that district, which is their children went to Oñate High School, and they were opposed to it. And they said, "Why are they doing that?" And this and whatever. And as I have said before on other occasions, that the Las Cruces Public School conducted a survey, and within this survey, almost 5,000 people were in opposition to the school board changing the name to an
5,000
almost
people.
just
How did they
short
do
of
the
five.
survey? Do you remember?
I don't know how they did, but this survey was done by the Las Cruces Public Schools.
Wow.
It wasn't done by an outside agency. It was done by the Las Cruces Public Schools.
So was it Ronnie? And
No, it wasn't
doing
Ronnie running from door to door or anybody else. And the opposition, which was the ones that were promoting the change to Oregon Mountain, they had 1,175, somewhere right around that number.
So basically almost 4 to 1?
Yeah.
Wow.
So 3 to 4 times the amount of the people that wanted it to stay as Oñate High School. They just totally disregarded that. They totally disregarded it, and they did what they wanted to do, irregardless. So this is an example of what I mean by a small minority are dictator to the larger minority. This is what you have to deem as acceptable, because we don't like this, so we want you to approve of this. And in the history of New Mexico, as they say, Texas is somewhat kind of a rebel. Texas kind of does what they want to do. Well, you know what? In New Mexico's history, guess what? So did New Mexico too. The citizens of New Mexico, they are known for doing whatever you want to do. They are known for doing whatever you want to do. And this right here is totally in opposition to that. That's
The spirit of the
exactly.
independence.
The spirit of the independence is in total contradiction to what the people of New Mexico who have lived here, born here, raised here, and everything else. I'd never live in another state. Never.
It's a beautiful state.
Yeah, it's a beautiful state. You go from south to north, it doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter where you go. But there's no reason for that. There's no reason for that. And additionally, as I have seen throughout the times, sometimes people will say, well, why are they doing certain things? Why are they doing certain things? You know what? I've kind of already reached the point of I don't even care why anymore. It's just we have to oppose them. So from where we're at right now, there is legal matters coming the way of the Doña Ana County Commission, as well as legal matters coming the way of Las Cruces Public Schools in regards to Oñate High School.
You're a busy guy, boy.
So all of you people out there that did not want Oñate High School to be changed, I ask you to support me, because I didn't want it to be changed. I hated it that it was changed. It represents a historical history of this state. What are we going to change next? The Camino Real? So the Camino Real was the road all the way from Mexico City all the way to Santa Fe. What are you going to do? Dig up the dirt? Is that what we're going to do next?
It's most things
Because-
you would have to change. Also, I was noticing right here by the highway, they've got that big water tower.
Yes.
And guess what? There's a lot of Spaniards
Exactly.
depicted on there on their horses and stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, it will never end, Ronnie. You're absolutely right.
No, they have to be forced. They will not do it independently. They will not do it because you can reason. It ain't gonna happen. I ask you to support me, and I ask you to support anybody else of a like mind. They are trying to rob our culture. They're trying to rob our history. They're trying to rob the native New Mexican cultures and values of the people. And I don't necessarily mean the raza, the Chicanos, the Hispanos here. I mean everybody, the white people, the cowboys. The cowboys are people that are very proud of being, as it used to be a common saying back when I was young, a New Mexican. It still is. And it was people would say, I'm a New Mexican, you know. But we have to say, enough is enough. Ya bastante por eso. Enough is enough. And you have to get involved. You have to get involved. If you don't have the means physically, then donate some money to conservative people who are doing something. I encourage you, because they are trying to steal the cultural history of this state and make it into something that it never was.
You're absolutely right. And I just want to add to that, because the update I was talking to you before the show is, while we were down there, my girlfriend and I went up to the county commission because I had some questions, right? Just like Gina had questions too. So my particular commissioner, she wasn't there. She had left. And so I asked, okay, how much money is it going to cost? Because Gina couldn't get a number from them. Well, the PIO, who's very nice, Mrs. Skipper, right? I think it's Amanda Skipper. Yeah. She's very nice, and she's professional. You know what? They did a good job hiring her. I'll give them that. She couldn't give me an amount. She said, I believe she said it would be coming like incrementally, so they really couldn't tell you how much. Again, I remind you that Juan Garcia said Oñate changed to Oregon Mountains, which is boring. I mean, I love my Oregon Mountains, but Oñate is powerful. It's a cool name. It was about $1 million. And this, you're talking about a county that has a beautiful logo that they have to change. So then I asked her, well, how did this happen? And evidently in November, the commission voted for it. And I was told that each commissioner got a sample, a few of their constituents, put a panel or a committee together, and jump in if I'm doing any of this wrong, please tell me, Ronnie. Yeah. And then they presented it, and then the whole entire commission said, yep, we agree, we should change it. So the other thing that I asked them that I was disappointed was, so could I see a copy of what that looks like? Could you show me a picture? She could not provide that to us. I think she said something like, well, you can probably go on the website and see it. Well, I've looked not really good because I didn't have the time. But my girlfriend looked, and she couldn't find anything. You said you looked too.
Yes.
And you couldn't find anything.
No, there's nothing.
So those are three things. That's really not service. That is not. They're supposed to work for us. And you know what? That's not very good. And that's almost grounds for firing, I think.
I remember when they changed the name from Oñate High School, it started at, their predictions were 150,000. And then I think literally 10 days later, it went to 350,000.
Wow.
And then after 350,000, they stopped reporting it. You know, I didn't hear how much they finally ended up with. And do you know they had just bought brand new uniforms and everything for all the kids there that, of course, covered all of the grades of the kids. Oh, my gosh. Can you believe all that? And here with a logo, this is what I read in the newspaper. One of the commissioners, he said, well, we need something more, his exact words, quote unquote, were, we need something more contemporary. Well, you know what? This is the way I see it. You know, this is Las Cruces, New Mexico. This is not Las Cruces, Vermont. This is not Las Cruces, Michigan. This is not Las Cruces, Portland, or Las Cruces, Maine, or Las Cruces, Massachusetts, whatever the case may be.
We have our distinct culture.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And there's a lot of people here that are proud of the history and the culture of New Mexico, and very, very much so. And so if we don't stop them here, where are they going to go from here? You know, like I said, you know, and then what it is, they're trying to limit, as I said, they're trying to limit what you think and what you approve of. And that's literally, what is it? it's control.
It's too much.
It's nothing short of anything else but control.
It's too much control, and
Yes,
it's
it is.
supposed to be consent of the governed. All right, well,
Yes.
we're down to getting close to the end of the show,
Yes.
so I want to hit a bunch of little different topics for New Mexico. Some that I care about. If there's something that I skip over and you want to talk about, let's do this kind of quick and dirty. So,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
What I don't like about New Mexico, voter ID. Here, you do not have to show your identification
Yeah.
to vote. Thoughts?
I would approve of voter ID. Absolutely. Why not?
Wait. so
Why not? Why
you
not?
fight for
My
it.
Lord in heaven. Why not?
Basically, you show up.
It is a right. It is a right to vote. It is not it is a right and a privilege to vote. It is not I'm entitled to it because my name is Joe Schmo. You know? Yeah.
The other,
absolutely.
along those lines, I understand that in New Mexico, it is legal. Illegal immigrant comes into our state, they can get a driver's license. Can you fight against that? Why do we still have that law, especially now with our big, giant open border? It's frightening.
That's a big issue you're talking about right there. And I'd like to say on that issue there, the United States has had a long history with Mexico, going back 400 to the area that we live in right now.
We're in New Mexico.
Used to be the land of Mexico. And before that, it was the land of España, which is Spain. So there's a long history going back. And there's a lot of trade going back and forth.
Sure.
But I think that for us to have any consistency, we need to have some semblance of laws that do apply. And I think the issue I think that for us to be able to get, you have to be able to provide your identification to vote. I think that is a small price to pay, small price. And I think that should be required.
Good. So you're on board
Yes.
with that. Good.
100%.
Now, so you will be in a political minority,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what,
Yes.
unfortunately. Even if we get all of our candidates, Republicans elected, chances are it'll still be a minority. So what's your strategy on that to make stronger? I kind of asked you
Well-
about that already in a way, but get
Well-
in more detail now.
I've always liked to be a sociable person. I like to talk to people who want to talk to me. If you don't want to talk to me, you don't have to. You don't have to. That's all right. If you want to talk about things, if you want to talk about things getting done, I love to work on a team. I love to get consensus. I love to get preliminary data so that we can work collaboratively. As an occupational therapy assistant, I have to sit in on meetings with nurses, director of nurses, physical therapists, occupational therapists, and of course the patient. And then you determine the best courses of action in regards, and as well as, it's not anymore, but it used to be social workers used to be in on there. And all of it is what is called is a multidisciplinary approach to the care of the patient. And so that's a team effort. And it's people picking up information. Oh, this one can address this. This one can address this. This one can address this. Would I be
You're
more
used to working.
Yes. Would I be
with
more
other
than
people.
willing to work in that manner? Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely. Because I am not of my age to think that just because Ronnie says something, somebody's going to listen to me. You know, I'm going to have to be able to try and convince them I ain't going to be able to try and convince them with just by what I'm saying. I'm going to have to try and convince them with, hey, let's get some facts here.
And sometimes you'll have to
Let's
also
get some
work with
data
your own
here.
party because
Yeah.
not everybody always
Yes,
thinks
exactly.
the same way.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
along those lines too, so I always like to ask this question of candidates. What's your plan to stay in touch with your constituents?
Well, my telephone number is a matter of public record, and it's I posted that as well as my email.
I commend you because a lot of people, just my email or call me on Facebook or whatever. No, what about a phone number, dude?
You know,
Good.
when I first started calling, city councilors and stuff like that, I think I was in my late 20s, maybe early 30s, and because there was a certain situation, it was about an issue of this poor elderly man was getting graffitied all over the place, and
Oh, by the way,
they
he's
were
also,
they were very
Ronnie
helpful.
Sisneros has also done graffiti. control. He's got many talents.
Well,
awesome.
I don't know, but there's a lot of people that do a lot of stuff, and
But I interrupted your story. I'm sorry.
But it's just an issue of doing what you can do. In regards to that elderly gentleman, is I believe in reaching out. Some people won't call a city council if they got a problem, and some people won't call a county commissioner. I encourage you to call them. Call them on the telephone. A lot of times they're just going to send you to a voicemail, or but sometimes they call you back. And sometimes what it takes is diligence. Keep on calling them. Don't give up. Look at me. It took me 14 months to get into the schools.
That's a good. Diligence is a key word there.
Lord in heaven.
And so we're talking to Ronnie Sisneros. He's running for New Mexico State House Legislature, and he is running as a Republican, and
Yes.
it's in district number 37, my district. Thank you very much for doing that. Let's talk a little bit about pro-life stance. As a lot of you know, unfortunately here in New Mexico, we do have abortion is legal until birth. Consequently, we've got a lot of people from Texas and surrounding areas, and they come here, and we don't like that. Is there anything that you have planned to maybe address that?
Well, I can say my personal stance. I always have, and I shall forever remain pro-life. The laws here in New Mexico, there was a law here in New Mexico that was effective in the year 1969. And what that was is a law regarding abortion in regards to having an abortion, or else an abortion would be performed in the event of incest, rape, or some other thing, or the mother or the health of the mother was at risk. You know what? That is common sense right there. That's common sense in my opinion. That's common sense. And where have we gone now? Lord in heaven. I never would have believed it would have gone here. But it is here. It is here. And a lot of people, in my opinion, they don't think that it's true, but it is true. It is this. Look at for yourself. New Mexico is abortion to birth. Abortion to birth. And actually, the lady that I'm running against, she was one of the individuals who contributed and sponsors. If I believe, I could be wrong on that. But look at her website, and she has nothing but Planned Parenthood all over the place. So I guess she's quite supportive of abortion. So. And
I've told you about a personal experience that I've had when Zeke actually ran for this office in the last election cycle. He did not win, but I attended a forum, and I've told you about that experience. And yes, Representative Ferrari, am I saying her name right?
Yes, Joanna.
Ferrari, I tried to ask her a question very politely, and she was not happy and kind of just took off, said she didn't want to talk to me anymore, and I'm being a whole lot nicer in my voice than she was to me. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I believe it.
So I am so thrilled that, Ronnie, that you are running for this office. We need good people in our New Mexico legislature. I think you have a great chance to win. You also speak Spanish. Are you going to reach out to your
absolutely
to Latinos, of course,
absolutely, right? Because I was a Democrat. I was too, I admit and I just got sick and tired. I was one of those. Let me talk to the Democratic Party here for a second. I was one of those Democrats that was a reliable Democrat. I'd go to the voting machine and boom, I'd pull straight Democratic Party every time because I was a Democrat.
Now, let me just stop you. So when you did that, did you investigate all of the candidates? No. You thought, nope, I just got
No, I didn't. I'll be honest. No, I didn't. And some of that has ties to John F. Kennedy and stuff like that. And
that's our culture. When we were little kids,
exactly.
Remember? JFK picture.
My picture of John F. Kennedy is in the house, and even though I'm a Republican, that don't make no difference. That picture ain't coming down. It's not going to come down. And so out of respect, because you know how the reason of why, in particularly why I like to address that, and I have told people as I've been running the whole time, is my grandparents were born here in this country, as their parents were born here in this country. But guess what? They didn't speak a word of English because they always worked on the rancho. They always worked way out of town. They didn't speak any English. And and they lived on the ranch, as I said, but they didn't. All they had was an outhouse. They didn't have running water or anything like that. They didn't have running water. And when JFK came in, changed the rules, and he said, you know what? All of you farmers out here that are taking advantage of these Mexican families by having them work and live out on your property, you're going to give them appropriate housing. You're going to give them running water. You're going to give them sanitation. Or guess what? You ain't getting no farm subsidy loans. And so as a result of that, my grandparents, they got a bathroom in the home. And I remember my mom she'd say, I don't want a bathroom. And I remember the rancher would say, well, guess what, senora? You're getting a bathroom. I don't care what you say. You're getting a bathroom. And they got a bathroom. So.
Wow, great story.
And yes.
So you have to also say, so what said to you, guess what?
Sorry if I rambled.
I'm not a Democrat. I'm actually Republican. Give us your story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'm a Republican. I'm a Republican who has left the Democratic Party. Left the Democratic Party completely. I don't want anything to do with him. Look at what they vote for. Look at what they vote for. Over and over and over again. Look what they vote for. And I remember here recently I was at a meeting and a couple of people said, Ronnie, why don't you come back to the Democratic Party?
Oh, really? What meeting was that, Ronnie?
It was the one where the Chief Story was over there at Farmer and Ranchers.
Okay.
And why don't you come back to the Democratic Party? I remember I just started laughing. And I said, you couldn't pay me enough to come back to the Democratic Party. I'm a Republican, and that's it. That's all there is to it.
Wow. Well, and of course, that swayed me. My story is that I started watching C-SPAN when it used to be so unfiltered because I thought, oh, man, I'm a Democrat. You know, my parents are Democrats, and although very conservative now when I look back at it. And I started watching what the Democrats were actually saying. I thought, wow, it was kind of like the Susana Martinez moment. I'll be damned. I'm a Republican, you know, and that's what happened to me. So we're so glad because, and I think, you know, I'm seeing a lot, Zeke and I have talked about this before, there's a lot more reactor videos. I know I've told Haley and Joey too, and these young black people, and I think Latinos too, they're figuring it out. They're finding out for themselves. Here's what's actually happening versus what the media is trying to tell us. So what's your outlook for more Latinos and younger millennials and younger people coming in our direction to the conservative movement of republicanism?
Highly positive. Highly, because I was a voter registration agent, and I was one of the ones that, as well as many others here in the county, that signed up people who were Democrat and changed them Republican. And because they're tired of all of the, as you say in Spanish, the pedo. They're tired of it. They're tired of it, and they don't want to do that no more. They don't want to hear it anymore. And so, yes, I think it is a good thing here for the Chicanos, the Mexicanos here in Las Cruces and in New Mexico to come out and say what you are and report and support the Republican Party, because they are a party. They are the party of Lincoln. A lot of people didn't know that, but yeah, they are a party of Lincoln, and so it's quite encouraging.
And we're not perfect party.
No,
but
we're not perfect.
A good alternative. Go and look at the platform, because that's what it's just almost like your religion. You know, you may not be satisfied with everything that's going on in there, but you stick to it because those are the principles. We're down to our last few minutes, and so if there's, I want to throw this in though. I always like to mention this. Somebody used this, and it's kind of a Democrat theme, because the Democratic Party, I believe, wants to be your pal, and that stands for putting Americans last. Unlike making America great again. So I always like to mention that.
Yes.
Is there anything that you'd like to touch on that we didn't, Ronnie?
Well, we seem to have touched on a lot of areas here. I would like to say one thing, because I was thinking about it, and I think a lot of things that you always have to take a quote, because it's important, because a famous person. And in 1863, this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and what government of the people, by the people, shall not perish from this earth. And that was Abraham Lincoln in 1863 said that. Now, what I'd like you to focus on is government of the people and by the people. Not government, this little tiny section of people tells all these others what to do. No.
Not government doing it to the people.
Yes, exactly.
Very good.
And so I would like to go to Santa Fe to represent District 37 here in New Mexico and remain a staunch conservative and be pro-Second Amendment, pro-American values, pro-law enforcement, pro-God in heaven, parental rights. I forgot about that one. Pro-parental rights, what they're doing in the schools right now. 100%.
All good conservative values.
Yes.
And tell our audience if they want to support you, what they can do, where they can find you.
Well, as I said before, my name is Ronnie Sisneros, and I'm the Republican candidate for New Mexico State Representative District 37. I do have a bank account that is set up as a campaign bank account at Century Bank of Las Cruces.
Century or Citizens?
Citizens Bank, excuse me, yeah. Citizens Bank of Las Cruces. There's 6 locations. You can go into those banks and write a check in care of Ronnie Sisneros for state representative, and they will accept that. They will accept that. And whatever you can do, I encourage you to do that, because we need to do something. We need to, for the sake of the people that are living here. This is a beautiful state. This is a beautiful city, but there are times that where some people have to get up and do something. And if your capacity is to donate, I ask you to please donate.
Great. And if you're even out of state and you'd like to support a conservative,
yes,
there'll be a way too. You're going to have a website up soon?
Yes.
Right? And the website will be, do you know yet?
No, as of yet.
Okay, we'll keep you posted
Yes.
on that. Ronnie is just, we're going to continue to give you candidate interviews like this of different people running. And we really appreciate you coming in today. It's been a good interview. So Ronnie Sisneros, running for District 37, New Mexico State House. Don't forget him, my good buddy, my good friend. And we wish you a lot of luck. Maybe in between you can come back, give us an update.
I'd love to. Yes.
And do that. That'd be great. I want to thank the lovely Haley Garza and her husband, Joey Garza, who always do a fantastic job here at Oregon Mountain Productions. Is there anything that I've forgotten, guys, by the way, to mention? Okay, good. So I think we're going to sign off, Ronnie, for today, and we'll be with you next week. We are going to have, and we know this candidate, Liz Winterroud, and she's running for New Mexico State House, District number 53. She's run before as well, so I think you guys, there's some great momentum, and I feel really good about it.
Yeah.
So until then, thanks, Ronnie.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Mucho.
you. Thank
Okay?
you. Muchísimas gracias.
Yeah, excellent. This is the Chips and Salsa Show, New Mexico. I'm Alice Lara, your host, and I'll be back next week. Thanks so much, Chipsters, and have a wonderful, wonderful week.